Hi, how's it going? I'm Marlena. Thanks for wandering by. So today I thought I'd like to share a little bit with you about how I'm working with an animal gnosis practice that I have been doing for several months now. Cosmic Creepers 2 here on YouTube. Tegan has a Patreon where she offers a bunch of different practices, but one of them that I particularly like to work with is animal gnosis. And I talk about Tegan all the time. And I'll leave links to her channel if you happen to not have run across Tegan yet in your tarot explorations. And yeah, Tegan's brilliant, and I absolutely love what she brings to the community. But so this month, so every month with Animal Gnosis, she presents an animal, and we engage with the animal in various different ways, and she gives us information, and she suggests, sometimes she writes particular spreads for or about or having to do with and linked to different things about the particular animal. And sometimes there's like exercises or activities or thoughtful or thought-provoking type work. So without really giving away anything that's meant only for the Patreons, I wanted to just, kind of talk to you and explore out loud a lot of the things that I've been thinking about this particular month so far with the animal that that we're working with, which is the vulture. And so the way that I work through or have been working through animal gnosis, especially when we have an animal that is, that has a lot of really negative connotations associated with it, like the vulture. It's not like a cute and fuzzy furry animal that everybody loves, right? So in approaching gnosis, my own personal gnosis with an animal like this, usually the way I begin is engaging in, I engage in the discourse server that Tegan has for the Patreons, but I like to kind of investigate how I see the animal through like my own personal and like in like a pop culture lens. So I'll put up pictures, but the first thing that I thought of to kind of like really think about this animal is I think about it in its pop culture references, and I thought of the vultures from the Disney movies. And the Disney movies, Robin Hood, oh my gosh, from Snow White. I think the ones from Snow White were really like much more sinister, and they were of the evil queen. They belonged to the evil queen. They were like her messengers. And then I'm pretty sure that the ones from Robin Hood, I can't remember their names now, but they were like fumbling, bumbling kind of idiot vultures, which I think is an interesting way to look at vulture. And then there was another one, and now I can't remember, but it was definitely from another Disney movie. I'll put them up. So like that's an easy way for me to engage with animals, or like, the symbolism or themes or things behind the animal, because pop culture and media and, movies and TV, and that's my like, that's like my ticket into any kind of like critical analysis, but it's also like nostalgia, right? So it makes me, there's like humor there, there's all different kinds of stuff, and so that's a really good like kind of entry point for me, because I'm not a person who engages in the real world with animals very much. Like I'm not like a naturey kind of outdoorsy person, you know, beyond like house pets. I'm really not like out there, you know, with animals in any kind of capacity. And I don't think that you need to be in order to be an animal person. That's one of the things I've learned through this animal gnosis. Anyway, I digress. So that's the way I kind of enter into it, with like this pop culture lens that feels like comfortable for me. And then from there, I usually do some like research about the particular animal in my area. So, I mean, it's really just like a internet search. And I usually try to go and read from like the state or, like wildlife organizations that have information about the animal. And then I kind of try to think about times in my life where I saw these, the creatures. So sometimes it's been easier than others. I think for the most part so far, I haven't encountered an animal that isn't in my particular area. We've got like a very rich wildlife here where I live, but we definitely do have vultures. We have black vultures. We have turkey vultures, and this is a condor on this one. This card is from the Animal Totem Tarot, and this is an oracle card from the Tarot Oracle. And then this card, I think this is a turkey vulture. I'm pretty sure. I didn't pull out the guidebooks, but I did read all the guidebooks when I first took these out. And then this is from the Anima Mundi Tarot. That's the backs. I'll show you the backs of everything. So Animal Totem, Tarot, Oracle, and Anima Mundi. And so I just read more about, not a whole lot, not like a super deep dive, because the animals' behavior and stuff in the real world, like in our world, not in the cartoon world, is, fascinating to me. So I try to learn, something about the animal and think about it in terms of, it in the world with me. But then really the main piece of it is then like kind of combining those themes and ideas about the animal into its metaphor, its symbolism, its correspondence, like my personal gnosis of what this particular animal like represents to me. And in doing so, then it kind of morphs into like how I work with its energy, and how what it represents to me helps me or guides me, teaches me, what it reveals to me in my own personal life. So after having like kind of walked, that path with it, then I feel like I figure out what it reveals to me, and then how I can respect that about it, And so then we've created this like relationship, right? So once I've learned about you, Vulture, once I've learned about you and how others portrayed you in pop culture, and this is all like, it's, sometimes I go deeper, than other times, depending on like the amount of time that I have to like put forth into like researching, right? But I think about it a lot, which is really what matters the most to me anyway, just like thinking about it. But like after I have like engaged with the way that this animal has been portrayed in different various places, then I think, and I learn about like science about it, right? Scientific facts about it, its habitat, things like that. And then I kind of try to like put those things together, like, oh, of course, so in popular culture or sayings or what we believe about vultures comes about because of their behaviors, right? Because vultures, eat already dead things, for not always, but for the most part, vultures are known for eating dead things, and they are, extremely, they have a digestive system that is extremely strong, so that they can process dead meat. So I mean, I don't want to get into like nitty gritty like scientific facts and details about the vulture, because like I said, I only did like a cursory exploration of it, and so I don't want to like spout facts that are incorrect. But like what I'm saying is, I'm talking about my process and how like finding out those specific things about the animal then like explains why they're portrayed in the way that they are, as like, evil. And I mean, and look at how we're looking at them here in the tarot. So like, this is a menacing looking bird that's sitting atop a rotting corpse, right? And it is the death card in this tarot. And this is, this is the Nine of Swords in the Anima Mundi, and here is the vulture. Often this card is called the nightmare card, right? And so that association with vulture, coming through your nightmares and producing anxiety, like these things are related to, the way that humans, interpret the animal, right? As something that comes with death, and lying in wait, that sort of thing. That idea about vultures, that they are, ready to jump, that they circle wounded animals, waiting for it to die so that they can feast, right? So that is scary and anxiety producing. That's why, these associations make sense to me. And I'm not to say that that's like, false. But I think that there's just so much more to think about when you think about vulture. The word here on the tarot oracle for vulture is adversity. And I really kind of like that. I thought about that quite a bit. What I feel like I've learned a lot about vulture in my exploration through pop culture, my exploration through the tarot and oracle that I have, in talking about it with other people, and in thinking about, what it does specifically in like the cycle of, the cycle of life, is we need vultures, right? A lot of what I read about vultures is that their nature's, there's nature's cleanup crew. And without them, it would be, it wouldn't be the same. Like this is, and it's not just that they're there to do, a job. Like this is their lives, right? And how they go about in the world. But they are so strong. They also nest, they don't build like not proper nests, but like nests like you would typically see birds build. They nest in like different places, and there are just, I can't believe how many times I've seen vultures in my life and not really even thought about it. But they are, they're there to clean up the dead things. And so like, without being like really, much more like eloquent than that, even though it's like gross, it's gross and it's, rotten and it's decay and it's, maybe, scary and things like that. It's like, it's necessary, and it's also good for everything in the environment that that they exist. to, perpetuate, continue this cycle, right? To clean up. Things need to be cleaned up. They need to be picked clean. We need to have an animal like this that does it. So, like I'm getting kind of poetic here with it now, because for me, that idea is a metaphor. In realizing this like metaphor of like cleaning up what's already dead, like eating what's already dead, moving that, that physical form into something else, like transitioning, right? So like that word for death that we get so much, transition, like having this like kind of intermediary between that like death and then the next thing, like, because it's already dead, it's rotten, it's gone, it's diseased, it's decaying, and then you have this animal that eats it anyway. It feels like it's helpful to think of that in terms of like, here's why. Because I feel like over the last couple years, I've gone through a lot of changes in my life. Like I've had transitions, right? There's been like, metaphorically speaking, right? Not any like, I haven't had any like loss of any, person in my life. Like nobody's died, right? But like there've been all these mini deaths, transitions of things that have happened in my life with just changes, things that have changed. And some things, were positive and some things were negative, but there's just been a ridiculous amount of change in a very short period of time. And then there's been like revelations around that change. And I feel like in working with the tarot, and journaling and whatever across the last couple years, like I've been thinking a lot about the transition, right? I've been thinking a lot about the changes. I've been thinking a lot about the death and the things that are no longer. I've been thinking about those things, but I haven't thought about the process and the guide, the helper in that adversity, in that process, the piece that cleans it up, that like really picks it clean, and the piece that like allows you to let it go. And I feel like that's where I find Vulture in my own like symbolism, in my own gnosis of the animal, that I find Vulture in adversity as a guide or guardian to help me like not just move through a transition time, a change, an anxiety, right? It's like, it's so funny because this picture is meant to like induce fear, like that the vulture is swooping in. But like I've actually rewritten that idea for myself when I've learned about and thought about what vultures actually do, into a I mean, it's not, I mean, maybe it's more positive, right? But it's more just like a symbol for something that is like letting you, like that is consuming the death. There's this thing that consumes the death and really, really lets it die, like takes it in, consumes it, and then processes it itself, and then it's done, and then it's just bones, right? And then all that's left is the bones. Like maybe that's memory, right? Maybe that's memory, what's left, the bones. Like when you are, moving on from something and you're having a difficulty moving on from something, which I have experienced recently, and many people, might be able to, relate to that, is that, it's hard to let go of something. And I feel like the vulture's energy is what helps me understand more definitively, I think, than just like transition, and that it's that it is a process, and that it is a cleanup, and then it's, well, let me show you, because here, let's leave this guy over here. And I want to show you the words that I've been playing with, because part of what Tegan suggested for work with Vulture is to do a spread into like it was kind of like a do-it-yourself sort of thing. Anyway, what I chose to do is I grabbed this little tiny oracle, the Sovereign Oracle, which is really great because it's just lots of keywords. And I went through the whole thing, and there's a lot of cards, but I went through the whole thing, and I started picking out words that I felt like were connected to the vulture. And what I wanted to do from here was like narrow these down into like 3, maybe 4. We'll see how many I'm willing to give up, or I'm willing to give up, because I was starting to feel attached to these words, to words that, you know, that felt like connected to the vulture and how I'm personally working with the symbol of the vulture in my, you know, my life. And so because the vulture has come to mean this, this transition, but this like processing of death, it's like processing of, you know, like it's what will help me like maintain or let things go, like really let things go, really let things go. Cause I find that like, I get messages about, okay, it's done, it's over, you know, like you know, cause I've moved and I've changed jobs, you know, I moved a couple times, and I've changed jobs and a couple times, and like friendships and different things, you know, in my personal life have really changed. Some things positive, some things negative. And I sometimes, like many others, I'm sure resonate with this, have difficulty just like letting the dead thing like go, right? The thing just go. And I feel like if you have something that's consuming it, and eating it, you know, and taking it in and processing it for another cycle, then that's really moving on. At least, I don't know. So I grabbed these words from the Sovereign Oracle, which is just this teeny little guy. And there it's, you know, it's got the one keyword, and then it has like 3 kind of like, I don't know, different types of action items and affirmations and different things that you can do. I mean, I look at these sometimes, but this keyword is right now what I'm looking at most. So for our vulture, I picked the word order. It's funny because there's also chaos in this deck, but order makes me feel like vulture because it's the way of things. So like, it's just the natural order, right? It's just the way that things should be and need to be. Evolve. So yeah, that's another thing. So like when something dies, and then it's consumed, I don't know, it just feels like there's like evolve feels like a process. And that's what vulture feels like to me. It feels like a process. So I liked that one. Taboo, I picked this one, and I might be able to relinquish this one. Taboo, I picked because like because vulture has a negative connotation to it, and like thinking of death and, you know, death and disease and, you know, that kind of stuff, like as like something positive is, you know, like, so taboo. I'm gonna put that one aside instead of keeping that one, because I think I've worked through that already. Undergrowth, I liked this because it made me think of things that are like, you know, undergrowth, like underneath, hidden, also maybe dead and decaying and dying, like undergrowth. But I think that makes me think too much of plants, and this is really more, I mean, this is really like when you think of Vulture, it really feels like flesh and blood and meat and bone. And I'm sorry for those of you that this might gross out. But so undergrowth, I'm going to let go because that feels more like plants now to me, having thought about it. Okay, so resources. Yeah. I mean, because it's more like resourceful that, you know, vultures have evolved really to be, you know, able to eat things that are diseased, poisoned, rotten. What does it say here under resources? Resources, the time has come to look outside yourself. Trust that all you need to make it possible is on its way to you. This feels more like it doesn't feel super connected to Vulture at the moment. Okay. So I'm going to let that one go. I thought this would be harder. All right. So order, I still really like. Evolve, I really like. Maintenance. This is probably my favorite one, and I'm definitely going to keep it. That's what I think is like such a good word here, because I feel like when I'm thinking about, you know, changes and transitions and like letting something go and moving on, it's not just like, okay, that thing is done, it's over, and now I get to forget about it and move on. Like, you know, your past it's for me anyway, like my past is not necessarily, I mean, my recent past, you know, like the last job that I had, the last home that I lived in, the last, you know, few years, like, it's not like I want to just like completely forget about it in order to move on from it. Like maintenance suggests that like this is a process and it needs work, right? Like it needs to be maintained, like you know, and that's what I feel like vultures do for the environment. Like they're cleaning up, they're the maintenance crew. Like I mean, I know it's not seen as like fixing things, but really in a sense they're fixing it by consuming it, you know, and taking it away, and then it can go on, you know, things can go on. I mean, and it's not just like their sole purpose is to like clean up the environment for other animals. Like it's part of their own survival as well, you know? But in any case, like maintenance is just on a metaphorical and symbolic level is just such a good word here. Hunger, I thought that was a really good one to pick for Vulture, because like they're, you know, and that can be seen as, you know, positive, negative, neutral. I mean, their hunger, it just makes sense because when you think of Vulture, the first thing that you think of is what they eat. That's the most distinguishing characteristic of the animal in our human, you know, brain is, you know, what they eat, hunger. And I feel like, I don't know, this goes on so many different levels for me. It's like a hunger for, they hunger for something that's already dead. That's fascinating to me. I think that's an interesting thing to work with, like on that metaphorical level, like why, you know, in processing things that you are moving on from, like, why are you missing it? Or why are you still thinking about it? Why am I, you know, hungry for that old thing that is no longer, you know? And what does that mean? and then you know, what, or is the process, you know, of moving on from those things that are dead, like, you know, consuming that, is that fueling me then to move forward, right? Like I just read this, you know, first line, examine complacency and recommit to your passion. So maybe that's it. Maybe it just needs to be processed. The thing I thought was dead needs to be processed in a different way. Allow. Oh, that's a good word. I guess that makes sense in the like allow this cycle to continue, allow the death to die, you know, sort of thing. Oh, process. Geez. I mean, I've said it eight times already. So here, let me put it here. I don't know how many of these I'm going to be able to allow. Oh, maybe I'll leave that out here because I think that's a good one. Compost, break it down into its elements. Let whatever isn't working become the soil for your next endeavor. So again, compost, you know, I feel like that's taking this feels more like plant oriented rather than meat and flesh oriented, although, you know, like they break down and decompose as well. But I just feel like I'm gonna put that one aside. And visibility, claim your bright light. I think I picked this because I think people want to look away from vultures. And I think is one of the things that struck me when I thought about vulture, when I actively made myself think about vulture and how often I've seen vultures circling or eating on the side of the road and things like that. I think I made myself remember those times because I think when I did see them, because they have this, you know, they have this negative connotation, this like kind of scary connotation. I think I've like actively tried to not think about them. So now I wanted to think about them again and make them more visible in my mind. But I don't think I need to work with that word. I think I want to get down, you know, and pick some specific ones out of these 6. So I feel like evolve and process are very similar, and order and maintenance are too. So I think maintenance is the word that I prefer. And I think process is also one that I prefer over evolve. Yeah, I'm not sure why. I don't think I have a good reason why, just going with what my instincts are telling me to do right now. And then hunger and allow. I think I actually might want to keep all 4 of these and just have 4. All right, let me move this out of the way and put these here. Okay, and so now I have maintenance, process, hunger, and allow. And what I wanted to do was pull some tarot cards, and I might just briefly talk about it because I've been talking now for quite some time. But I just want to pull some cards under each of these words and think about that. Okay, so I grabbed the Raven's Prophecy Tarot, which I have edged in black. And I love this deck. I haven't yet worked with it this month, and I was planning on working with it in this upcoming week. And I can't think of a better, look at these colors like that these words ended up with. I can't think of a better, you know, match right now. You know, and also the raven to bring in some more bird energy here, I think is really cool. And this is a really minimalistic deck. So I feel like this one kind of, you know, framed sort of piece is going to help me along the way with these. So I feel like at this point, now that I've you know, been working with this idea of vulture, and I really kind of understand on a, you know, deeper level what it means to me, I kind of want to like invoke it, you know, like invoke this energy and kind of let the, you know, vulture be my guide and, you know, help me through this idea of what I need to maintain and what I need to process and what I hunger for and what I should allow. Now that I've, you know, identified it's how I want to move with this, you know, move with that energy. And so I'm just going to pull cards under here and maybe just talk about it a little bit briefly, but I'll probably do the majority of my kind of analysis of my own reading off camera. But I just wanted to kind of walk you up through this kind of piece with me. I kind of want to light my candle that's here right now. Okay. I'm going to just get into the whole thing here. I'm going to bring one of these vultures out. Can you see it over here? Yeah. Let me put you here. I can put this one here. Kind of, because I want it to be here with me. It was off to the side. You just couldn't see it. All right. So I just kind of want to, you know, sit with this and understand how this vulture symbolism can not just, you know, not just help me like transition through changes, but like really process them and like maintain myself through them and allow them to happen and not just compartmentalize things and forget about it, but, you know, live with it. Continue to live with it after something's dead, gone, changed, transitioned, right? Okay, let me just take a breath here. Intense, process, hunger, allow. Okay, let me move this up just a smidge. Okay, under maintenance, I got the Ace of Wands. That just like immediately strikes me as like in order to like maintain like the cycles of moving on from things, like I have to just like remember my own spirit, like my own oomph, my own anima, right? Process. I got the Hierophant. Oh, that's really cool. And this lantern the these fireflies around it. That's cool. It makes me think of like, you know, campfires and the outdoors and like being guided by someone, which is funny because that's very hermity energy too. But I feel like processing means like maybe allowing wisdom from other people, you know, who have been through similar things. Just on the, you know, surface, that's what that feels like. Hunger, 3 of Coins. Okay, I've been getting the 3 of Pentacles or 3 of Coins like so many times in the last couple days that like I think I'm hungry for cooperation. Like I'm hungry for like other people to be involved in the tasks. So I think I honestly feel like I'm at a place where I don't want to work things out alone by myself. Like I want to feel like I have a support system, which I do. What I mean is like I want to like tap into my support system. I'm hungry for that, and I'm not always, I usually like to handle my stuff myself, but I think I am hungry for like cooperative healing of things. Okay, and allow, 10 of Cups. Oh my gosh, that's perfect. Look at all these ravens here. Yeah, so that kind of just really jumps off of the Three of Coins, and I'll talk, I'm gonna journal and think about this more, but yeah, this is definitely about me allowing like the greater like familial sort of stuff, like my support system in my personal family. Yeah, that's where I think that this support is going to come from, like, and not just my immediate family, but like I think a little bit broader than that, with like community and friendships and things are going to I gotta allow, like, I'm hungry for it. I'm hungry for that support, so I have to allow that support in too. And I mean, vultures are very community oriented animals. From what I understood, from what I read too. So that, I don't know, that just like works so well together. All right, well, that's it. That is my process with animal gnosis right now, currently this month, working with the vulture, and I'm really, really grateful for this. Like, it's really something very valuable for me, and I'm looking forward to kind of spending some more time in my journal, like looking over all of this. I kind of completely ignored these little, phrases underneath. So I'll probably work with that as well. And yeah, so thank you so much to Tegan Cosmic Creeper for the inspiration for this type of work. I really value you. And thank you, though, to all of you that are watching for sticking with me. I just can't express more how wonderful it is for me to know that you're out there and that you are, with me. I appreciate that. And yeah, I hope that you all have a beautiful, wonderful day. Bye.